Hey, this is Stock Center. I do more exciting opening.
Get out of here. Mine are great.
This is Stock Center, and this is September Madness for you guys. Tune in. We don't have any basketballs, but since it's not March Madness, it's September Madness, these will do. Anyhow, guys, September Madness begins now. You're going to have to pick your brackets and pick your winners. And we all know some of the losers. Warren Buffett just put $5 billion into Goldman Sachs in September Madness, right? Now, because he's better than you are, he got 10% interest guaranteed and preferred shareholder status, right?
Awesome.
And that's because he's better than you. Unfortunately, some of you live under the delusion that he's not such a good team, and you sold off today quite a bit so that he didn't get the 10%. It's also price advantage. He was going to pay $22.50, while you poor working class slobs are going to pay $24.50. Now, you taught him a lesson, right? Got to look out for the underdogs. The underdogs won that bracket. Next bracket, we've got Wachovia and Citigroup. I talked to Natalie down at Wachovia today. Just love Natalie. Very nice, smart, polished. Haven't heard from Rich Gordon. Hopefully he'll be back soon. They have my deepest sympathies because they're going up against a big loser here with Citigroup, right? You've got Chuck Prince, right? He's too busy wondering where Maria Bartiromo is, and maybe she'd like to... You know, that's what they said is that, you know, when they would fly around in the Citibank jet, they would say, like, okay, everyone put Maria up right now. We're coming in for landing.
Get out of here. You're insane.
Anyhow, in the next bracket, we've got Merrill Lynch. They were everybody's all-time champion. They came in. They were kind of like Georgetown and got a bye for the first round. And then for the second round, instead of a bye, they got bought by Bank of America. Merrill Lynch has a whole lot of highly qualified telephone call center operators that Bank of America saw some redeeming value in, so they look like they're going to take over that bracket. Bank of America early on grabbed onto Countrywide, right, and kicked their ass. Angelo Mozillo, however, didn't take it personally. Instead, he took off with a couple $100 million.
Take it personally.
So he didn't have hurt feelings for his defeat there.
You think?
We had the U.S. Federal Reserve and AIG. I told you German Mike and I went down to AIG, right, and talked to them. They were the dumbest people in North America.
You didn't tell me you went down there. What happened?
Oh, we went a bunch of times. When we were on Wall Street, right, went over and talked to them, right, and their CTO, I wouldn't allow to make coffee for us. He wasn't smart enough. He couldn't come in and work here and answer the phone.
So then this doesn't surprise you at all?
No. The only thing that surprised me was that they stayed afloat that long. But, you know, the Fed came in, bailed them out, so the Fed won that bracket. Yeah, the Fed's always the favorite, right? As Andy Pickup just said in our earlier show, right? They've got the lowest borrowing cost in the world and the most liquidity. They just pick up the...
And like you said, they just print it. You want some more? Just print it.
Yeah. Right. You know, so the Fed did a very good job on that. Wells Fargo got a bye in the first round. There, everybody's kick-ass one. Then we have the Federal Housing Authority took over, kicked Fannie Mae's ass, right?
Oh, yeah, that was a good one.
Well, that was a given, right? You got Barney Frank, right? His boyfriend's running a male prostitution ring out of his house, so how's he going to think clearly about anything, right? You got Maxine Walters, right? The Wall Street Journal, guys, did a fabulous article today on who said what when, right? And you ought to really educate yourself and go see that, because every one of the Democrats here are arguing about how great and sound Fannie Mae are, and don't mess with it. They're giving all the money to the unqualified people, right? And they show the time where they said it, Senate committee hearing, right? Barney Frank said this, Maxine Walters speaking to the HUD meetings, right? All the Democrats across it, don't touch us, and that we have that in the Wall Street Journal today.
Yeah, it's a great article.
So they were layup, right? You know, Freddie Mac, you know, Federal Housing Authority bailed them out to more liberals. Now we move over to the other brackets on the other side. We've got the United States Congress, who are rapidly becoming the enemies of America, right? And the bailout fund, right? It turns out the U.S. Congress and the bailout fund are having a tight match, right? They're actually having a rematch tomorrow, which we're going to bring to you live. And we've got Barack Obama and John McCain. We don't know who's going to win there.
We are going to have an armed insurrection.
Cheerleaders. If McCain wins, we have a chance at continuing to be a democracy. If B. Hussein wins, Tyler and I will be having an armed insurrection. And we are going to have cheerleaders as well, so you might want to get your guns and come and we've got cheerleaders that will be the first mercenaries with cheerleaders. Next bracket, you've got Washington Mutual, who I personally detest, and PNC Mortgage. Washington Mutual took them over. They were going to kick everybody's ass.
Why do you personally detest Washington Mutual?
I had credit cards that were taken over by Washington Mutual. And I just, as a matter of fact, was on the phone with them again today for the 75th time because they've been paid by Citibank every single month. It's on auto pay.
Yep.
And they take the checks and cash the checks every time, but don't credit the account.
Oh.
And I get transferred to India, where they tell me, "Oh, you'll have to hold on for a minute." So
for a minute is
yeah.
We're kind of
my
behind
phone bill
time.
at the moment is $13,000 on hold for Washington Mutual, and they still haven't fixed it. And I really think that this has happened so many times that I think it's institutionalized fraud, where they say like, "Oh yeah, this is how we're going to do this. We're going to steal from these people." In the next bracket, we've got J.P. Morgan Chase and Bear Stearns. I remember we worked with Bear Stearns years ago, and that they were the stupidest people that I ever actually worked with
You
on,
got a lot of nice,
on
kind
Wall Street.
words here today. It's great.
There are banks that I love Wachovia. I love Baird. There are an awful lot of banks that I love, but I'm going to tell you the truth. They were stupid. Andy Pickup is the smartest person that I've ever met in the world. All the Penn professors, all the bankers, everybody else, right? He's the smartest. And that woman was giving us such a hard time about him, right? And he didn't know this or he wasn't. And I said, I'm talking to him. He says, I'm sitting right here, right? They were just like liars and cheats and bums and idiots, right? So glad to see them gone. It was a shame they didn't just throw a bomb in, though. But instead, J.P. Morgan threw in a bomb and took them over. Now we got the J.P. Morgan and Washington Mutual battle. J.P. Morgan came in and steamrolled over them. J.P. Morgan Chase looking like the strongest one in this field. But now we come down, and we should have had Andy sit in for this one, right?
For this part.
Because we've got the Queen of England and Northern Rock, right? And I actually jumped into a little bit of Northern Rock, made a quick profit, and then the Queen kicked my ass, and they went under. So that was another loser for the Doug team. The Queen of England took over Northern Rock. And by the way, do you know what she paid me? Goose!
It's the Queen of England. What do you expect?
Yeah, she told me to jump in a lake, you know. Anyhow, then we have HBOS and Lloyd's, right? Lloyd's were kind of, a weak contender here to begin with, but they pulled ahead. Lloyd's were going to go under, 15 times in the last 15 years. But they were always supposed to be like the world and the strongest in the world. And somehow they managed to come through and pull out HBOS, right? We've got Morgan Stanley and Mitsubishi, right? That still remains to be seen, although somewhere in Japan right now, somebody fell on the sword and did the honorable thing, right?
I think that was definitely a good choice.
I think they're down $531 million since they made the investment into Morgan Stanley, right? Love John Mack. I'm not sure the people at Mitsubishi do at the moment. Lehman Brothers and Barclays, right? We talked to Lehman, and we're with them briefly. They were nasty and rotten and stupid, and so we're really sorry to see them go.
3 adjectives to describe these people. It's getting fun here.
The nasty, stupid, and rotten, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Before we were just stupid, and now we're...
Yeah, no, I actually remember them quite well, and so we're very sad to see their demise. Barclays kicking their ass, guys. So we've got a pretty strong first-round matchup coming up there. We got Bank of America, J.P. Morgan Chase, although none of these guys are actually going to be investment banks after this, right? I'm still wondering about Ken Lewis, though, because I remember his famous remark was he'd had more than enough fun already in investment banking, then he went and bought the biggest investment bank. But as I said, I think he likes their call center team. Anyhow,
we're down to like the guys, the big players.
That's our September Madness. You can write in and tell us who you think's going to be the champs here. If everybody will send $1, we'll make a poll for you, and we can make this like September Madness. We can kick March Madness ass.
I'm taking the Queen of England.
Queen of England.
I'm just happy.
I'll tell you what,
it's really funny.
Andy, the U.S. Federal Reserve too, though. Andy made a very valid point with them. When you don't have to pay anything to borrow money and you can print it, right? You're in a pretty good position here. They're looking like Georgetown under Patrick Ewing.
God.
Thank you very much. Welcome. We'll have more for you at Wall Street Media.
We're here every day. Thank you very much.